Hello all, I'm Tara Jones from Pieceful Solutions, and I have with me Valencia. As all of you may know, Valencia is my Morgan mare, who's a 7-year-old. She's bred by Jeff Wilson from Black Willow Morgans in Delhi, New York. Up to this point, Valencia and I have worked about 15 sessions. Most of those sessions consisted of groundwork in the cavazon, groundwork improving all of her movement, and here you'll see me warming her up in an exercise I call the Super S. Valencia is saddled now, as I saddled her yesterday for the first time, and we had 0 problems with her under saddle thus far. I had my first ride on her yesterday, a ride on her this morning, and what you're seeing is our 3rd ride under saddle. So what I wanted to show you is a little bit about what I go through before I hop on and teach Valencia all about carrying a rider. So you'll see me asking her to go around, and I'm using the cone as my midpoint. You'll see me asking her to move forward with the flip stick. Occasionally I'll move the stirrups around, smack on the saddle. All of this is in prep to make sure that she's okay if she felt the saddle fender hit her in the side, felt any weight in the saddle, and gets used to all of the movement from the stirrups, the fenders, or weight in the saddle. I always like to make sure that I cross my T's and dot my I's before I go ahead and climb up on Valencia's back. Here I'm just making sure she can back up, and then I'm asking her to step forward by tapping her hip. I would like to see a little lateral cervical flexion, and you'll see she's outfitted in a snaffle bit. I always start all of the horses on the ground with a cavazon first. A few days ago I taught Valencia how to accept the bridle, and I did a lot of groundwork for the past few days teaching her about pressure, connection, and contact. So as always, I always wear a helmet for safety reasons when I'm climbing aboard any horse, especially an unbroke. Here I'm tightening my saddle, just making sure everything's in place. Valencia is kind of round, and as she becomes more in shape, her withers are becoming more prominent, which helps the saddle to fit better. I always start every horse in a Western saddle, regardless of if I'm going to ride them dressage, English, or Western. You'll see I turn the stirrup towards me, and I just begin to put weight in that stirrup. Once Valencia is accepting of that, you'll see me switch sides and do the same thing on the other side. I always like to do the same thing from the right side to the left side and the left side to the right side, so that once I swing up there, she'll understand the weight. And I'll do this a few times until I feel like she's comfortable. I don't see any head raising, I don't see any ear pinning. She looks very relaxed through her facial expression. She's not trying to move her feet. She looks very accepting of the whole process. So I'll just go back and forth, and you'll see that I always grab a hold of one rein, and I always have a chunk of mane in my hand. So this is for safety reasons, just in case Valencia would spook and shoot forward, I'd be able to pull her head towards me and move her hip away. This will enable her to stop her feet from moving and me to keep safe from getting kicked. It's always safety precaution with everything that I do with the horses in the very beginning. I've done hundreds of these, so I want to make sure, just through the habit of how I do it, that I'm always safe. And there I was just waiting for her to stop moving her feet. Here I'm going to step up and swing right on over. One thing that's very important, and what I always note, is that I decide from the ground whether or not I'm going to actually swing up all the way onto the horse's back from the very get-go. I never creep up onto the horse's back by deciding halfway through if I'm going to step up and swing all the way over. I commit on the ground and follow through all the way to the top. So once again, whatever I do on one side, I'm going to go ahead and do on the other. And I'm just going to swing up and over, put my foot in the stirrup this time, pet her, tell her thank you, wiggle around, which is very important. You'll see me do this a lot. I'm touching her neck, her rump, and you'll always see me wiggle before I dismount. This way I make sure I don't startle her by suddenly being still and then moving. Right there was a very significant moment because I asked Valencia just to follow alongside of me. She disconnected from me from that moment, which is no big deal. I went to bring her back, and then we begin again. But oftentimes what I'll do is I'll swing up, swing right on over. I don't want to have a stayed vacation up there, meaning I don't want to stay up there forever, so you'll see me get up and down a lot. This time I decided that she felt really good, felt very relaxed through her back, and I was okay to go ahead and take a few steps. Now, we have worked on this prior in the last 2 rides, and you'll see that every time I do ask Valencia to move, I ask her to move from her shoulder by asking it to step out and over. I never go ahead and bump a horse with both legs and drive a horse straight in a line. That's the best way to get bucked off in the very beginning. You'll see me just lightly bumping with both of my legs, and it's almost like I'm bumping air. I oftentimes just wiggle my ankles, and there I'm saying hello because I was all smiles. It's really good to be up on a horse again and bring them all the way through, from starting them on the ground all the way up under saddle. It's been a while since I've done this with a horse that I've prepared to keep as my own. It's very important that you're always praising your horse, telling them that they're doing a great job. Valencia is very willing to move forward, and as she does so, I'm really not going to bug her at all with trying to steer or move in a specific direction. I did want to stay in the frame of the camera, so I was trying to stay around the green cone. But you'll see, as we're working from left to right, that we're just working on basically a little bit more softness. You'll see me wiggle from time to time to remind her that I'm up there, and I'll just lightly bump air with my legs. As time goes on, I'll start carrying a stick because Valencia has been taught on the ground to move forward from that stick. But for the first few rides, probably up until about ride 10, I'll just be a passenger and help her understand that all she has to do is carry me. She's doing a fantastic job, by the way. I love her expression, always pleasant. And once you see me get down, you'll always see me land in front of the horse's shoulder, and that's also very important. Here you'll see that Valencia has connected. This was a very important moment because here is where she almost invited me to go ahead and get on her back again. I always love when the horses allow me to walk by their side and they tend to follow me. So here when she stops, I pat her, and it's almost as if she said, go ahead and hop on. Right there, she had a terrible fly that was bugging her, so that wasn't actually her biting at me. It was actually her turning around to get this pesky fly. The last few days have been almost 98 degrees here, and it's really uncharacteristic for this kind of weather in September. So believe it or not, we are sweating right now. I kept this ride short and sweet because she was so cooperative, and it's always important in the very beginning that when we're doing anything that involves the horse's education in the very early stages, that you go ahead, hop down, praise, hop back up, and allow them to have a great experience. One of the things that people do in the very beginning when they're riding is they kind of get greedy. It's all going well, so they stay on longer and longer periods of time. Valencia was pretty much just voluntarily walking around for me, so I was just going ahead and enjoying that ride. I was patting her rump, bumping her sides, touching her neck, and the whole time just talking to her, telling her what a fantastic job she was doing. Once again, I'm really proud of this little mare. She's really done a great job, and there you'll see her going to get that fly again. And once I'm going to ask if she gets stuck and stops moving her feet, you'll see me take my hand out to the side, like an opening rein, like there. And you'll see her left front foot begins to step out in the direction of about 10 o'clock. And that's going to help unlock the feet. Remember, in the very beginning, an unbroke or a young horse has no idea what your legs mean. So it's very important that you use the rein pressure from all the groundwork exercises that she taught prior on the ground to help move the horse's feet in the direction that you desire them to go. And once again, she connects with me, happily walks around until we come to the cone, stop, and I tell her what a great job she's been doing. So here, one of my things that I like to do is I like to unsaddle the horse right then and there. I don't like to tie them anywhere because I've already gone through the round penning process. Here I'm going to take the saddle pad and the saddle, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on the round pen panel. Valencia, you'll see, just stands here and waits for me. So the difference between following me is if I invite her, but she'll also stand still and wait as if I've asked her to ground tie. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the bridle off. I'm going to slip it over her ears, apply pressure to her poll. I'm going to allow her to spit the bit out. And I always take my time with this process because I really want her to understand to lower her head and gently allow me to take the bridle. What a fantastic job she's done. 2 thumbs up. Way to go, Valencia. It was a great first ride.